You read the title. It's an interesting market out there, to say the least. Housing prices decreasing, rent prices increasing, some getting 10 offers day of list, people coming in with rental offers of 12 months rent up front. It's worth discussing. Today I get into this topic with Ping Hsu, investor, broker, and team leader in the Hamilton, Burlington area here in Ontario, Canada, to find out what is happening, what this means for renters, homeowners, investors, and real estate agents. Let's just dive right into it. Hey Ping, so I've had you on the channel before, hope to have you 100 times more, but let's just dive right into it this time. Housing prices decreasing, rental or lease prices increasing. What's going on here?
Okay, so usually real estate market works slightly different from the rental market. The moment that the demand of the real estate goes down, the rental market, the rental demand goes up, right? So we're always seeing a bit of a lag between the two cycles. Usually how I explain to any other agents or any other investors, I usually let them know the following, if you don't mind me.
Yeah, go for it.
So real estate market goes like that, ups and down, but in the upwards, right? But the moment that we're seeing a bit of declining with the housing market, we're going to see the rental market going this way. So right now we're probably at here, the rental market goes up. And this will continue to go up as the housing comes down, because now nobody's buying it. But the needs are still there, the housing needs are still there. So instead of buying it, people start renting, and there's more demand from the tenants who's looking for new places. We don't have enough supplies.
This is basically this is stuff that happens in the past. Like, you're basing it on what's happened previously, and that delay happens almost all the time, and it's a bit of a hesitation, right? It's interest rate hesitation, don't know what to do, buyer hesitation.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's basically that would be the main reason of why you see that. What's like something crazy you're seeing? Is it getting absurd, or is it still just it's a delay? It's not too bad.
It's obviously we're seeing some huge increase, huge jump in the rental market right now. It's similar thing happened back in 2017. The moment that the real estate market calms down, or I should say probably like drop a little bit, that's when we start seeing the rental market shoots up like crazy. So back then, I remember for student rental, we're looking at maybe $450 to $500 per room, and you shot up to 600, right? 550 to 600. Now, on average, around McMaster or even like UTM, we're seeing about like 600, 650 per room. I'm pretty sure we're going to start seeing like 700, 750 per room in springtime, right? And similarly, single family is going like crazy right now, right? But will this come down a little bit? Yes. The moment that real estate markets start dropping and the buyers start buying it again, that's when a lot of focuses are going to be back in buying the property, which means the rental market, the rental demand is going to drop, and the price is going to come down a little bit too.
Yeah. So because this on my channel, and because I've introduced them to you, and of course anyone reach out to Ping if they're thinking investor in Ontario. But basically, the channel does have a decent following of investors. Basically, investors getting their real estate license, or just investors. What do you kind of suggest now? Does this, if you're an investor and you own a home, and you own property, of course, and maybe that's decreasing, but your rent is increasing, is this okay? You just hold? Does it neutralize the burn? It's not too bad. How does that go?
It also depends on where when you bought it, right? So if you bought it I'm talking about like 3-4 years ago, then this probably doesn't really apply to you, even though you see the opportunity. But let's say your rental property has been rented out, you have a long-term stable tenants, it wouldn't apply to you, right? Even though you get to see that, okay, now the fair market value for the rent price is way higher, but there's nothing you can do. People who have the basement unfinished, and you have a way to kind of convert that into legal units and try to get that rented, I do think this is the right time, right? Because again, in Hamilton, we're seeing basement, 2-bedroom basement units rented from, it used to be 1,200, right? Even 1,000. Now it has gone up to be 1,800 plus utilities. It's high.
Yeah.
Right. So if you want to create a bit of cash flow as an investor and you have one unfinished basement, I do recommend you actually start looking into the opportunity to convert that into legal units, get that rented, and that's additional 1,800 that you can collect on a monthly basis.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking that as well as a possible question a bit later. So maybe we can come back to that because that's kind of like the average person almost, or a client of yours that you have that has a basement. Maybe you've helped them purchase that home and you've seen that that basement is legally, if it can legally be conformed. So that's pretty sweet. Maybe we can come back to that. If we stay on investors, right? So of course, you know the channel. What are they doing? Like you have investor clients, you're investor yourself. What are they doing in this market? What do you recommend? Like flips, BRRRR, pre-con? What are you suggesting right now in this market?
Great question. So we got that questions a lot, almost on a daily basis right now. What should we be doing as investors in the current market? This goes back to one philosophy that I always had. I always have. One is when it's on a good market, when we're in a good market, right? A bullish market is shooting up. This is where you need to focus on cash flow asset, right? Because if you buy something that cash flows, the property will go, like the value will go up with the inflation, right? So, but when it's the other way, now cash is king, right? Because it's declining. So if you drop another 10%, that means that, hey, you can get the exact same product at a 10% discount. Right now we're looking at 20% already. Can that continue to drop? I think it will, right? But I won't be able to time the market. It can be 25%, can be 30, can be 35%, right? And when does it bounce back? I don't know. But as an investor, the most important thing is before we get into the current timing of the real estate market, we have to be prepared to have some cash. So this is very critical. Now back to your question. Let's say if I have some cash ready, what should I do? Should I do flip? Should I do BRRRR? Guess what? Right now, it's really difficult to predict where the ARV is, which is after repair value. You cannot predict how much you can sell for because the market has been shifting way too quickly.
Yeah.
So right now, I would not be buying any flip project. I would not go with a BRRRR because you might spend a lot of money, 100, 150K into the renovation. And then you realize that you cannot recover the full month plus the profit. So at this moment, I will only be looking for turnkey properties. I will find something. I would obviously try to see if I can negotiate the price a little better so that I can buy something turnkey that I can rent it out right away and cover all my monthly expenses.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. So, and of course, you're in the market every single day. So, does that mean you maybe are seeing those older BRRRR properties that you used to look for? Maybe they're staying on the market longer because there's less like confidence. And then maybe they're getting really low offers or something like that, right? Like something like that's happening.
Yep. Everywhere.
Okay. All right. Let's say we shift it to maybe more of a broad spectrum, right? Like during this slower market like this, what would you, because you run a team, what do you kind of suggest your realtors, like what do they focus on to keep their sales up?
Okay. So if we're strictly talking about the agent's perspective, agent's position, it is very important to anticipate, right? So I think being a real estate agent, you really need to kind of anticipate how the market is going to shift and who's going to be the motivated buyer and seller in that specific time period. So if I were to kind of go back to 6 months ago, when real estate market was like super hot, right? That's when I wanted to focus my energy into the sellers, because getting listing becomes easy, right? All you have to do is to kind of like drop a line where, hey, listen, we can sell it for a lot of money than you think, right? Why don't we give it a try? And then you give it 5 days holding offer and see, and usually that offer will surprise the seller. And that's how we got a lot of listings in January. And when things start cooling down, that's when we realize that, okay, things are cooling down. People who keep getting outbid, like I'm talking about buyer clients, people who keep getting outbid, these people now will feel like, okay, now price is a lot more reasonable. I can find something I like. So we literally pivot right into the buyer's market by probably by March, like mid-March. And then we started getting a lot of people. And we're fortunate enough to close a few sales. Obviously, some clients right now might be thinking, okay, did we buy a little high? But it can never time the market. That's the problem, right? So after that period of time, we were like, okay, you know what? Interest rate is coming up. We're going to kind of anticipate, or we're going to see that the market start dropping a little bit. Now we need to shift our focus not on the investors. We need to shift the focus on the people who have the real estate needs, people who are thinking about upsizing or downsizing. These people had no chance to get into the market in the past 6 months. So we shift our focus right into this audience, and we're still doing pretty well.
And it's a bit of that catch-22, isn't it? So if you have, because of course, as an investor, when these interest rates go up and they go up at a higher percentage than the decrease is happening, your buying power is not even there. Isn't it crazy? Your buying power is not even there as much as it was on $1 million home that's now 800. You think you're getting a great deal as a buyer, you can't even afford it because of interest rates. So it's a bit of a catch-22, isn't it, at this current moment?
For sure.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to actually predict what's about to happen. And obviously things are still coming down, and I do still anticipate it's going to come down. But the hardest part to predict is still the timing. When is it going to actually bounce it back, right? Because right now, someone like me, I'm holding a significant amount of cash ready to go into the market. I don't think it's the right time yet, but the moment that everybody starts thinking, okay, it's the right time, I might be too late already, right? Yeah. So that's why in real estate, it's always important to focus on cash flow property, right? Whatever at any given point you want to buy, you want to buy something that doesn't cost you money every single month. I think that's a very important.
It does feel that. It feels like, because I was going to say that as well. It feels like smart investors, or like yourself, you're sitting on cash and everything, or kind of like really good realtors. It's like you see opportunity in possibly like all adversity, right? You look at all the numbers, you look at the graphs, you look at the charts, and like how you just mentioned at the very beginning of this, you're just going back into history of like delayed what's possibly happening and coming around, right? So I love that, man. And if there was like one big thing, even investors or your agents, what would you say like focus on? I think you've kind of touched on it a bit. It's stay consistent to a certain extent. You can't predict anything. Like now you're talking to your clients, whether it's buyer or seller, it's not so much a salesman anymore. You're not really ever a salesman as a realtor, are you? But like you're more just relaying information, keeping them up to date. And then if they have a scenario where they, of course, have to buy or have to sell, then it's just a normal day in the office, isn't it? Because then you're selling a home that is, of course, went down in value, but you're buying a home that has went down in value, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't see myself as being pushy or anything, right? Like especially being a salesperson, you're like, we make money, or we earn our compensations through sales. But I don't ever believe that we need to be selling someone, right? There's a bit of tactic, but I would never be pushy towards my clients, right? Because again, you want to be direct. You want to not sugarcoat certain things to trick people into buying something that's not suitable for them. But our job is to present what's best or best product for their needs at that specific moment, right? And if you can match these two, the clients will be happy, and you're doing your job as an agent to facilitate a deal for them. But to answer your question, Kelvin, for both investors and agents, one advice I always give it to my team, my clients, is that do not lose the momentum. Momentum is probably the hardest thing that we can get in business, right? Imagine the first deal that you need to get as an investor, or the first client that you need to get as a realtor. It is always the hardest thing to get that very first one. And the second one becomes a little easy. And the third one, fourth one, now you pick up the momentum. The thing that I'm always concerned for both investors and realtor is a time like this, where everything kind of cools off or drop a little bit. And all of a sudden your focus is not on the real estate anymore, right? So with the investors, I will always challenge the investor that if you don't look at the deals right now, and if you're not being part of the right community right now, how do you know if there's a good deal? How can you identify which one's a good deal? Because it might be a good deal compared to 6 months ago, but it may not be a good deal at the current market, right? So it's always important to keep yourself sort of educated, right? Get the information floating, always checking out the properties, making sure that you're aware of what's happening. And I think that's the best advice I could give to everybody, right? Just keep out the momentum.
Love it, man. I'm the same way. Consistency every single day. Okay, so really appreciate this. I kind of wanted to keep it short and keep people up to date of what's happening from someone in your position. Just quickly, I've probably already put it on the screen a couple times with the introduction, but how can people reach out to you to discuss this, that, anything, getting into investing, getting into real estate, anything?
Okay, so the best way to reach out to me, Facebook. If you type in Ping_real estate, you can find me. Same ID for Instagram. I'm always available. I'm always like posting stories, right, contents. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me this way. Definitely check out our channel, YouTube channel, Property Hustlers. Okay. So we post a lot of our projects, a lot of our, nice. Our educational contents over there. So definitely check it out. You will learn a lot.
It is a badass channel. I couldn't believe when I started seeing some of the content over there. And now you guys are doing just like, of course you have your niche where it's investing and stuff like that, but it's like you're doing such detailed stuff that can help people. And that's what I love because if you get X amount of views, it's X amount of views from the right people. So, I can't believe that channel is fantastic. You guys have like a like a legit team doing that. Like the editing and everything is fantastic. So really good channel there. I'll put in the link in the description below, but appreciate it, my man. Thanks for coming on as usual. What you're building is fantastic. So we'll save it for the next one because I'd love to have you on as much as possible with the knowledge you have. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Okay, sweet, man. Talk soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, if you enjoyed that interview, comment below. And if you're a realtor or soon to be realtor, reach out to Ping or myself to find out what we're doing for real estate agents and brokers here in Ontario. You can book a call with me. It's in the description below, or just DM, email, comment on this video. I get back to everyone. Thanks for watching. My name is Callum Moore, eXp Realty, real estate agent here in Ontario, and we'll see you in the next one.